75 years ago, life in the Texas Hill Country was very different than it is today. It was a tough life where almost everything was done by manual labor. The day started before dawn and lasted long after dark. Children did their studying by a kerosene lamp. Mothers cooked 3 meals a day on wood-burning stoves. A wash day was a full day of back-breaking work. In 1935, the Rural Electrification Administration was created with the express intent of electrifying rural America. Electric cooperatives started springing up across the nation, changing people's lives immensely. They now had indoor lighting, running water, and electric appliances. Residents of the eastern parts of the Hill Country were now enjoying the benefits of this new thing called electricity. But farms and ranches that were further west were still struggling in the dark.
So about 1947, this impatience culminated in the organization of Central Texas Electric Co-op. For us out on the farm, it was seamless. One day we were served by Pedernales, and the next day we were served by Central Texas Electric Co-op. We're fortunate that we were, because it's a good one.
Local community leaders in our area led the way, and on June 19, 1947, Hugo Weinheimer, Tom Carr, Paul Staling, Chester Schwedhelm, Luke Moss, J.C. Cohn Jr., and Harold Schmidt signed the original Articles of Incorporation, formally organizing Central Texas Electric Cooperative. The co-op pioneers traveled throughout the area trying to convince their neighbors to sign up. It took a dedicated, spirited group of people to get the job done.
When we first started, we had to get membership, and it was hard to get 100% membership on a lot of stuff. Some of them were a little reluctant to get started on it. Oh, it's not going to work. Well, I mean, they had a lot of excuses that were kind of far-fetched, but it finally worked in, and I think it gradually worked out real good.
With hard work, CTC started building lines and electrifying the area from Buchanan Dam to the Wyo Ranch. Through the years, the co-op has grown to include over 6,600 miles of line and almost 45,000 meters. But it all started with a handful of men and women who devoted their time and energy to bring a better way of life to themselves and generations that followed.
I think it's one of the best things that ever hit this country. It helped all the people. It didn't just pick out a member here and there. It helped everybody.
My father used to work for the co-op. He was one of the original ones. Back in the day, they set all the poles by hand, climbed all the poles. All the old equipment that they had very few buckets. Most of it was done off hooks.
In the early days, they had old clock type meters that one clock run one way, the other clock run the other way. It had a center dot. You took and drew a line to which side of the 7 or where it was exactly and mailed it in, and then the billing department had to hand read all of those.
At that time, the billing was being done with the borough's billing machines, and they had to insert a card into the machine.
And we had to count off 5.5 days from the end of the month to start billing the accounts. We had like 5,000 accounts. And then by the time I retired, it only took several hours to do the billing, where it took at least 5.5 days at the beginning.
We had one bucket truck here, one pole truck, and one digger truck, and that was it. The rest of it was all done off of hooks, and just hard manual labor is all it was back then. Everything that we knew of where people lived, how the lines ran, it was all implanted up here.
It was a very unique job. I don't know of any other co-op actually that had a plane doing this, but It was very beneficial to us because of the hills and the terrain. A lot of times when we had outages, the country's pretty rough, and you couldn't just drive to every place and look at the line. I'd take a lineman or something with me at first to show me the lines, what to look for, how they were framed, what you call this, what you call that. I can't imagine doing anything else looking back on it, to tell you the truth. I was getting paid for doing something I loved to do.
I've worked at Central Texas Electric since 1975, and times have really changed because back then you'd have to read your meter. Every month we had a member who would call in his meter reading. He'd call in and say, Amalakti 2958, and he'd hang up. Well, we knew it was Amalakti calling in his meter reading.
My job is a staking technician. We stake new lines. Back 40 years ago, we had a 200-foot metal chain. That chain had 5 chaining pins, and you'd go 200 feet, holler chain, pick up that pin, and keep going until you get to the dead end. And now we have these instruments that work off a satellite. It'll shoot a point, and it'll keep you online as you're going through there until you get to the dead end.
Well, I'm kind of new to the co-op world, but my dad has actually worked as a lineman for 21 years. It'll be 22 this year in September. When we're kids, we know when there's a bad storm coming, we know Dad's going to work. We'll hear all kinds of things, and we'll see pictures of him in the buckets, and when he has to climb the poles because they can't get the buckets up. When you're a kid and you hear those things, you just think of your dad as like the superhero.
I was crossing a creek, and the guy that was with me said, "Oh yeah, you can make it, you can make it, you can make it." And we got in the middle of the creek, truck sank, and the water just started flowing into the doors, so we just sat there until the wrecker pulled us out. And matter of fact, I got this anchor given to me by the guys since they had to come pull me out of the water.
When I first started here, I worked in the meter department. They hired me. I was mainly testing meters. And we worked out of a van, had the test equipment mounted in the back of the van, and we'd go from house to house and set up and test all the meters in the back of the van.
Back in the earlier years when we had outages, we relied upon the consumer to call in the outage, and then we'd go to the paper maps and see where that consumer was located, and hopefully we knew where the line devices were. Nowadays, the meters will call in the outage for the consumer, and the consumer can also call in. But we have all the line devices that protect the lines that open up due to a fault on the tablets, on the computer, so all the guys know where everything is to restore the outage quickly and efficiently.
We don't have much paperwork to do now. Everything's on our times, everything's on tablet. We can do it on tablets, and service orders and transformer change out and work orders, everything's done on tablet. It's not so much paperwork anymore.
To work at Central Texas Electric was like having another family. We all cared for each other. We cared for our customers. It was difficult for me when I had to deal with people that I knew that had perhaps a return check, or we had to disconnect for non-payment. That did not come easy for me.
The employees here go above and beyond. Their actions during the Winter Storm Uri were phenomenal. They worked 18-hour days for about a month. Not just the linemen who were out in the field, but everyone else in support of the linemen and anything that needed to be done, from getting supplies in to feeding the guys as they come back from working all day. They really pulled together and did a fantastic job that we really shouldn't have to ask anybody to do ever again.
We have numerous people that will be retiring in the next 2 to 4 years, but we're bringing in the younger guys. We're sending them to training schools. We have good young guys. They're good workers and they're very smart.
With the growth of our community, I see a lot more work done to our equipment, to our substations, our lines. I see new technology, new people, more people.
I've been proud to work for Central Texas Electric as a cooperative versus a city utility. The cooperative is able to pay back to its members capital credits, the money that's been invested over the years, and any profit then is allocated back to its members. And that's why I feel good with Central Texas Electric and how it operates.
Well, a co-op is a member-owned organization. So every decision as a board member that we make has to be for the benefit of our members. It's a nonprofit organization.
As an elected representative of the membership, it is our responsibility as directors to hear their concerns and to convey them to individuals that can actually affect change.
The board of directors at Central Texas is fully attuned to our membership, and our biggest responsibilities are taking care of our members, keeping these folks happy, trying to keep their prices down or moderated as much as we can.
I like the fact that we're member-owned and our members are all part and instrumental in our decision-making. I think that's the perfect way to do a co-op in our area. Our prior boards made some great decisions that will keep us stable and strong for many years to come.
If we go back to way back to about the year 2000, that's when deregulation of wholesale electric power suppliers in the state of Texas actually happened. Our exclusive electric supplier at the time, LCRA, became an unregulated monopoly, and when they became unregulated, well, they took advantage of us. That's a real simple story. It took some time, but we got out of the deal with LCRA in 2010.
Probably the best thing that happened, and that I'm the proudest of as a ex-director of the co-op, was the day that we were able to break the stranglehold that LCRA had on us in their pricing of the electric power.
In the great freeze of last February, you didn't get a screamer electric bill from Central Texas Electric Cooperative because we didn't get charged the market price. We have a contract in place for how we buy power. And we pass these savings on to the members. The result is, if you look at power bills from the beginning of 2011 until last month, your cost per kilowatt hour of electric energy from Central Texas Electric Co-op has been flat. Is this a good deal for our members? You bet your life it is. And are we going to continue doing this? Well, the board of directors, the general manager, these folks are all consistently working to serve you, the members. You're going to get the best deal that they can bring you.
As the cooperative continues to grow, our pledge to you is that no matter what challenges may come our way, we will provide safe, reliable, and affordable electricity. We trust that 75 years from now, people will look back and say that we kept our promise. Thank you for helping us celebrate this milestone and honoring the legacy of the founding members of your electric cooperative.
In the future, I see this place growing. Everything's going to do good, and I'm retiring.